The criminal history of YNW Melly will shock you.
We got a special guest in the building. YNW Melly is here.
What happening, bitch? What's up?
What's up, bro?
20-year-old YNW Melly is no stranger to having legal troubles. However, you probably didn't know just how many legal battles he's faced throughout the years. The young Florida rapper is already facing a potential life sentence in prison after being accused of killing his two best friends and fellow YNW members. This accusation has shocked the entire hip-hop community and the world, but his previous criminal charges were also just as surprising. At one point, he was arrested for firing off his firearm on school grounds. Luckily for him, he was under 18, which helped minimize his time in jail. Stay tuned until the end of the video as we cover YNW Melly's criminal history. We will be covering the latest details on his recent criminal case, so you won't want to miss a thing. Be sure to leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and comment with the keywords mixed personalities below to enter a chance at winning our $100 Amazon gift card giveaway. Now let's continue. Melly's career had drastically taken off last year. He became widely known after collaborating with Kanye West on their song Mixed Personalities. Melly spoke on how he feels he has multiple personalities, which may be a key factor in his criminal background. Their music video was directed by Cole Bennett, and it ended up going viral all over the internet. At this point, Melly had multiple platinum certified records under his belt, and things were going great for him. It was pretty short-lived for him though, since he was arrested just months after his breakout point. By now, you probably heard that he's being held for homicide of YNW Sackchaser and YNW Jervy. Melly turned himself in February of 2019 and has been behind bars since. It's tragic to see him get put behind bars at such a pivotal time in his career, but if he is found guilty, then justice might be served. Law enforcement has built up a pretty strong case against Melly and claim they have evidence that he is indeed the shooter in this crazy case. A police department spokesman said the victims, Anthony Williams and Christopher Thomas Jr., were put to rest on 10/26/2018. The investigation supported by forensic evidence that Demons shot Williams and Thomas Jr., and that Demons and Henry staged the crime scene to resemble a drive-by. Melly allegedly shot YNW Sackchaser and YNW Portland and then staged the vehicle to appear as if it was hit in a drive-by shooting. One of the investigators also confirmed, this supports the evidence that the victims were shot inside the car first and the projectile holes on the exterior were later staged. It's kind of hard to believe that Melly would really take the lives of his two best friends. We will cover his side of the story later on in the video. To continue on to Melly's background, he was born and raised in the southern parts of Florida. His mother raised him as best she could, but Melly, like his peers, couldn't seem to stay out of trouble. Most of his troubles were pretty minor up until he was about 16 years old. This is when he started to get into some serious trouble. This is when he was arrested for shooting into a crowd outside of Vero Beach High School in Vero Beach, Florida. Luckily, no one was injured during the shooting. However, it left 16-year-old Melly in jail, facing some serious charges. This was one of the first times Melly has been incarcerated, but sadly, it wasn't the last. Melly let his firearm off just outside of his school. If an adult had done this same act, they could have been looking at life in prison. Melly at the time had no prior convictions, so luckily he only spent a year behind bars. While serving his sentence, he wrote the song Murder on My Mind, which was his first song to go platinum. In this song, he talks about his thoughts on how he would perform a homicide, and he rapped about his using weapons. Prosecutors brought the song up during his recent court hearings due to the possibility of it being a premeditated description. The song is extremely creative. Despite what critics think of it, it's pretty catchy and it is his most streamed song yet. Murder on My Mind has gone double platinum, and many of these streams stacked up after Melly was incarcerated. His music video for it has over 300 million views and is continuing to grow. This is about 3 times as many views as his Mixed Personalities video with Kanye. The song definitely stirred things up in terms of his legal case and the allegation that he took the lives of his fellow YNW members. The lyrics are pretty specific, and you can definitely see why people are questioning whether the song has anything to do with the incident. Do you think they are related in any way? Or is the song just a pure concept song that never actually happened or will happen? Let us know what you think in the comments below. After Melly's release, he continued to work on his music and brand. He stayed out of trouble for about a year before running into another legal issue. Melly was arrested in Lee County in June of 2018 in charges relating to illegal possessions. Police charged him and his associates, YNW Portland, with possession of an illegal firearm and paraphernalia possession charges. Both YNW members were released on bond the day after their arrest. By now, Melly has been arrested twice and has gotten pretty lucky on both accounts. He was cutting it close, but apparently these two legal battles weren't enough for Melly to learn his lesson. This next charge may seem redundant, but Melly just lives his life like he wants to. He was arrested again in January of 2019 for paraphernalia possession once again. This time he spent about 3 weeks behind bars for these charges. He dropped his hit song, Mixed Personalities, while serving his sentence. With Melly getting released from prison at the time, to him getting a Kanye West feature, it was safe to say that he was the talk of the town. This is again when his career was really taking off and he started to build a fan base. It's tragic that it all got put on pause due to his most recent legal battle. Just weeks after getting released from prison for paraphernalia charges, Melly gets arrested again for the craziest battle he's faced yet. A warrant was issued for the arrest of Melly and Portland for the homicide of their friends and fellow YNW members Sack Chaser and Jervy. Melly voluntarily turned himself in shortly after the warrant was issued. His position on the whole situation was that they were involved in a drive-by shooting and the police are framing him and Portland due to the lack of a suspect. Before turning himself in, he took to Instagram to post a picture of the YNW crew and wrote a heartfelt message that reads, "To all my fans and supporters, no, I did not get locked up in Washington, but I am turning myself in today. I want you guys to know I love you and appreciate every single one of y'all. A couple of months ago, I lost my brothers by violence, and now the system wants to find justice. Unfortunately, a lot of rumors and lies are being said, but no worries, God is with me and my brother at YNW.Portland, and we want y'all to remember it's a YNW family. I love you at YNW Sackchaser1 and at YNW Jervy. Hashtag free us." Melly and Portland both came up with a story that they were involved in a drive-by. It seemed odd that both of them left the alleged drive-by without a scar. Meanwhile, the other two members were left dead. Many fans stood by Melly and claimed that he was really innocent, but it left the majority of fans confused. What really happened in that car? Police think that Melly fired his weapon off at his fellow YNW members while inside Portland's Jeep, and Portland continued to drive after the shots were fired. At some point, they got out of the car and proceeded with firing more shots at the Jeep to make the appearance of a drive-by seem real. This left the windows shattered, and Portland's Jeep was riddled with bullets. The crime scene photos were recently released to the vehicle, and it was a pretty messy crime scene. They then discarded the weapons so that there were no firearms found. Melly had prior charges, so he wasn't even allowed to own a weapon. Melly and Portland apparently drove around for hours before finally getting to a hospital to get help for their friends. You would think that if they were really in a drive-by shooting that they would go to the hospital immediately. Medical professionals even stated that if YNW Sackchaser and Jervy were brought in any sooner, they could have possibly stabilized them. Investigators also found that the cell phone location records did not match up with the locations provided by Melly and Portland. Things just weren't adding up at this point, and it wasn't Melly's first offense. Melly has talked about how he has multiple personalities before, and he may have a multiple personality disorder. He stated that one of his personalities that he goes by is Melvin, and that alias is part of him that keeps him protected. Some of his personalities seem more evil or questionable than others. Maybe he did it because he thought he was protecting himself. It's hard to say. His next court date will be scheduled soon, and this is when his future will be determined. There is no clear intent or motive as to why Melly would want to end the lives of his fellow YNW members, but it could have been a random act of violence or something that was premeditated for years. Check back soon to see what ends up happening in this legal fiasco. It is hard to choose a side at this point. Do we believe the evidence provided by law enforcement, or do we take his word that he was likely set up and that he didn't shoot at his best friends? It's a bizarre allegation, but Melly's streaming base has been growing despite all the talk. Melly has been fighting for bail since his arrest and thought that he would get it since he turned himself in voluntarily. The judge has denied bail twice for the rapper, but Melly's legal team is still fighting hard and believe they will find success during the 20-year-old rapper's next court hearing. Melly has been behind bars for over a year, but he's released one album while serving his sentence. He truly enjoys making music and thinks he's one of the best in the game right now. He will continue to plea as not guilty and fight for his freedom. Let us know in the comments below what you think of the situation. Do you think his troublesome past had something to do with it? Or is he just so successful that people are trying to set him up? Drop your opinion below and don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and include the keywords mixed personalities to enter a chance at winning our $100 Amazon gift card giveaway. We hope the best for Melly, but also hope that justice is served. It's hard to take a stance in this case, and the whole allegation shocked the entire hip-hop community. Check back soon as we will be providing updates as soon as they become available on the case. Thanks for tuning in to Line Report as we covered the criminal history of YNW Melly. Be sure to check back soon for updates on this case, as well as other cultural updates you won't want to miss. We'll see you on the next one.